process. We should have standards for evaluation process. So the reiteration is done most of the time from this process back to the discovery stage. So this will be refined. This particular concepts will be refined during a further training. For want of time, I'm skipping and going to testing phase. So who does it work for? Does it work for the way it is intended? How do you know? These are all comes under questions comes under testing. It is a generative process for redesign, and it reveals opportunities for improvement. You know, during testing we get failures, then we refine. Again we test it. Again failure. Fine tune. So testing basically fine tunes the entire process. Hello. So any So rejection helps students to improve or accept and develop clarity of real-time situations. One of the key things we have to instill in students' mind is to capacity to face failures. That is also one of the today's students are unable to face failures. So by encouraging participation in the design thinking process, their mind is also tuned to see failures because it is only a simulated process where students can really see what is a failure, observe what is the reaction of a failure, how it feels. So failures are also to feel the failure is also important for any success because failures teaches a lot of things whereby we can, we know failure is a stepping stone for success. So each failure gives a lot of experience on learning. Solving a problem is particularly a vexing one. It's unlikely within a constraint of a system. So due to restrictions of academic calendar, this approach is, we define our goal as good for enough. Most of the time, because we have time limitation, our goal is restricted. It is restricted with respect to the objective or time constraint plays an important role as an impediment to the design thinking process because we cannot exactly define the time limit to complete a design thinking process for a particular problem. Depends upon the complexity of the problem and ability to arrive at a solution. It may take sometimes days also. In real-time software environment or in companies, they have a definite time because for them it is a business. But for teaching in an educational situation, we have this constraint, major constraint for design thinking. So as we start practicing slowly, we know that our time we will get experienced and we will have a real time. We can define the real time limits for this particular. So the passion for search is essential for teaching and learning. So the passion for search, not for Google search, passion for searching knowledge. So what is evolution? When it is done, it is rethinking and repeating process. The multi-stage process implies in a linear direction of progress, more unpredictable. So the model is flexible. So the model is design model is very flexible with respect to evolution. We don't know how it will evolve. Once it is tested, again it is not same. It may evolve with new ideas also as we put it in use. So information learned from testing helps to refine the problem and the overall design. So there is a perpetual loop of feedback to every step, the discovery step, the next ideation step, and the experimentation step. There is always a feedback from this every step to back and step to in a hierarchical way. So any step into perpetual loop of feedback helps to refine every step and try to get the best solutions, best possible solutions. Ultimately, solutions are evolved and improved through reiteration and repetition. This is a key for this particular entire process. Because of the complexity of the problem, the probability of failures for a solution is more. So we are again reiteration, you subject to again refining and refining, we overcome the obstacles in the solution and try to refine and try to implement an implementable solution. Rather than the best solution, we get an implementable solution, which is very, very important. So the challenge of design thinking is often knowing when this evolutionary process of redesigning is done. Again, it is a design, redesign, redesign, redesign. So deployment is nothing but once they find the design and the design thinking approach leads to a feasible solution, specific projects may have the opportunity to develop into a real world solution. The solution from a table, now it goes into a real world solution. Focus on ways that solution becomes tangible. Tangible is say measurable. Tangible means measurable. Actionable means it's really put into use, and practical use. Practicality of implementation is key in the deployment stage. In socializing phase, a narrative around a solution is built based on the entire process so that everybody accepts the solution. In the piloting phase, the solution is introduced to a predetermined group to gain real world feedback and reviews. This is what actually normally does. Any product is developed, they just give for use. Android testing, we know that any new operating system is developed, select people are identified and they use it for testing and get the feedback. We call the beta version. The piloting phase is nothing but a beta version. Is it clear? Anybody, any doubts in piloting phase so far? So basically, discovery, ideation, experimentation, evolution, and this piloting phase. Piloting is very, very important. So basically, first we discover a particular problem based on the defined by students. We give a scope. Then we ideate it using our first principles, try to find possible solutions using all our educational knowledge. Then solutions get refined, refined, and then find possible practical solutions. Then solutions are prototyped, and the prototypes were testing, and the testing is again and again back tested with all the iterative process so that it satisfies everything, and a practicable solution or a product is formed. Then it is given to made to accept by a group of people. Then it is put to a test by beta testing, what we call, and finally when it is successful, it is implemented in the practical situation. For any teaching methodology of education also, this can be implemented. This is a normal process which is used in industry, but it can be used to teach a particular complex problem in research, mostly in research oriented problem or management problems. So we have to identify barriers during the prototyping stage and integration stage. Integration stage is the last stage. Barriers of production and maybe more. So basically design thinking is a disruptive model. So it will disrupt the existing practices and existing production methodologies or existing teaching methodologies. So we should understand it is a disruptive. What is a disruptive technology? Disruptive technologies are technologies, disruptive models are models which breaks the entire ice. So when we were using hand phones, so for example, Nokia 1100, when the smartphones entered the market, it is a disruptive technology which will totally remove the existing technology of Nokia, just as ordinary phone. So disruptive technologies are going to be more and more coming in our sphere of life, both in education as well as in practical life, where older technologies will be rendered redundant. For example, nobody uses a film to photograph. Nowadays, nobody uses a camera film for photography. It has become digital photography. We don't know. Tomorrow, our eyes may be fixed, camera may be fixed on eyelashes, and just blinking may take a photograph of what our eyes is. We know technologies may be born. These are all disruptive technologies. So we have to dream big and high. So how the design thinking is useful in education? Is there any doubts so far in the entire process of design thinking? Is there any doubt in the process of design thinking? Am I clear? Or should I explain once again? My dear fellow participants, is it clear? Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Am I comprehensible? There is no doubts. So again, I am repeating because if you understand the funda of this particular approach, further training will be very easy for you to follow. Because the further training I understand is only the totally the expansion of this particular idea and the various steps.
Good evening, sir. One small doubt, sir.
Yes, madam.
Sir, by seeing this model, it is more towards the research, and whether it is applicable for undergraduate students or inside our classroom, how we can apply this?
It's not a problem, madam. For example, if there is a biochemistry topic of a cycle pathway, for example, you have to teach a pathway to a particular student. Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Biology teachers will understand the complexity of teaching. Any biology teacher here? Nobody? Okay. Biology teacher will understand the complexity of teaching a particular cycle. In such a way, we call the students and identify what are the problems in understanding the cycle.
Okay, sir.
The cycle has 20 steps. Okay.
Okay, sir.
The 20 steps in examination, the students are supposed to know 20 steps in the cycle. What is the contribution of each step in the physiology of the organism? So it's a complex situation where the complexity lies in understanding the concept of this particular cycle. Okay. So we call the students. We make the students tell what is the complexity, what is identify the problem, which are the steps which are easy, which are difficult to understand. So then we find resources which will explain these particular steps very easily.
Okay, sir.
So then finally we decide and we identify a teaching model. This is the way this pathway will be taught.
Okay, sir.
So evolving of pedagogy is also a design thinking approach. Is it clear, madam?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So this will be very useful for pedagogical approach in your teaching learning situation for undergraduate.
Thank you, sir.
It's a research thing. You make the student participate in things. It can be, for example, a management tool is there. Students cannot understand complex management tools or techniques. You can use a participative approach for the students to identify the problem in teaching this management technique. You will get a hell of a lot of ideas. You'll find where the students really feel very complex to understand the thing concept. And design a teaching model. Teaching model may be unique in your way, or include 2 or 3 teachers, and develop a teaching standards for particular teaching this particular management tool. Because we in our country, we don't have standardization of educational teaching, pedagogy. Every teacher teaches in his own way.
Yes, sir.
So this design thinking approach will help to arrive at standard pedagogical methods.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. We will try, sir.
Is it clear, madam? Am I clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I proceed to next slide. So it is used in curriculum design. That's what I told you now. Whatever I told is curricular design as a teaching learning approach. It's a new teaching learning approach whereby the teacher sheds his traditional teaching approach on project-based teaching or concept-oriented teaching to a participative learning teaching approach. It's basically a participative learning. You can say it's a participative learning by the students. The teachers train and support for design thinking is very, very important. So teachers has to first understand about the process. Then only they can really participate. What is their role? What is the student's role? How to create the environment? How to manage such an environment? How to moderate the environment? How to design the outcomes? How to improve the outcomes? So it is really challenging for today's faculty to entirely adopt this approach. That's why I feel this training is very important to bring the attitude of design thinking, because it is not in our blood. This is a new approach. It is not a traditional method, or it is not a legacy method which we are tuned in our day-to-day teaching. It is a different kind of method which is now totally insisted upon us to change for better. That's what I see, the change for better because of the needs of the industry, or called industrial revolution 4.0, where your this also named as 4.0. So the expectations by the industry is phenomenal. They are the technological explosion is going to happen in the next century. Is a century of technological explosion where there will be demand for a lot of critical thinking skills, creative thinkers. I mean, the opportunity for teaching is enormous, whereby we can create a life of resources. When we see our resources performing at that higher level, that gives the best satisfaction for the teacher. So the design thinking reconnects educated to their creativity. So we become creative. When we see students become creative, we also become young. When we are with a group of young people, we also become young. So when students start thinking creatively in an environment, we also become creative, we also become like student and started contributing a student mindset, where we find a lot of fun because our mind has more wise, wisdom, knowledge, everything. We will train the students for better creative ideas. Aspiration of helping students develop as deep thinkers and doers. Not only deep thinkers, but also doers. Is it clear? Design thinking, what is the role of design thinking in education, madam? My dear fellow participants, what are we going to do in design thinking? How it is going to help in mainly curriculum design, and also a different kind of teaching ambience and teaching learning situation, whereby it's a participative teaching by collaborative understanding, participative teaching, where individually students will not be, all students will be networked along with the teacher in the center. All students will be networked equally, viewing like a Ashoka Chakra, where all the students will be connected by the teacher. Teacher is centric, who moderates, manages, creates environment, defines boundaries, everything. So that is a chakra approach, we can say. Is there any doubt in this? Is there any doubt in this? Are we able to understand the very purpose of design thinking in education is curriculum design, have a novel teaching learning approach, teacher training and support for design thinking. This is what is going to happen in the next week, probably, if I see the whole content of this particular program. And also reconnects educators to their creativity and aspirations of helping students develop as deep thinkers and doers. So what are the points we have to ponder? What is the potential of design thinking for education? How do you feel? What is the feeling of the participant? Does it have potential for education? Does it have the potential for improving the education? Let me just share a small anecdote which I learned in my post-graduation, my institute, about the definition of education. So maybe most of you, maybe education is which remains after everything learned has been forgotten. So whatever I read, learn, everything, I forget everything, and whatever remains in my mind is called as education. So this design thinking approach will lead to better education of the students, where things they will have instilled in, their brain becomes a real, they themselves become a real learner, and learning is a continuous process, as we know today. So how is the design thinking applied in different educational settings? There may be different educational settings. It may be a practical one, it may be a theoretical one, it may be a participative one. There are different settings in education, research settings. So how design thinking applied in different settings? This is the key doubts comes for people. What tools, techniques, methods are characterized? Is there any standard protocols for this thing? Being a scientific method, is there any standard tools, techniques, and methods available? Like for regular science, we have our own methodologies, tools, and techniques. And what are the limitations in design thinking? So let us see the important terminologies associated with these tools. There are different tools. There are different tools available in design thinking, whereby we see the Lego bricks. Management people knowing the Lego bricks, where the small students are used to build. So it is used for prototyping and scenario building, especially in engineering education, civil engineering education. These Lego bricks will be used. And there is a technique using Lego bricks called Lego serious play. This and all you will learn in deep. I'm only introducing the terminologies. So I'm just given just what it means literally, not more than that, because for want of time. So it is prototyping and scenario building. Lego serious play is a strategic decision making and organizational development tool. So it is used by using Lego bricks, where we make strategic decision making and organizational. Marshmallow is a team building exercise. These and all you can use to the empathy step. You can use this marshmallow technique to build a team building exercise, because team building exercise brings everybody into a single brain, makes everybody participate. So marshmallow technique is good to start with for bridging the team of students. Mind maps or diagrams that organizes hierarchical information, grouping categories around a central topic. Because we know we are arriving at a central topic, we can do mind maps. Mind maps helps to bring the ideas coherently the central theme. So this will be useful to refine the ideas. So 90-second critics is it's also a tool. It's a form of feedback on initial ideas or prototype. One may be used to give a feedback within 90 seconds, because the critical thinking of a particular idea immediately happens in the 90 seconds. So this is called 90-second critique. After 90 seconds, it becomes personal. So the immediate response within 90 seconds is unbiased criticism. That's why it's called 90-second critique. Then powers of 10. There is a look at the problem from a broader context, or to take a step closer and look into it more detail. This is nothing but a simple word. So is the microcosm, so is the macrocosm. So the name stems I have given where it came from. So if you stretch your mind outside, so you will feel that you are going to universe, the end of the universe, Milky Way galaxy. As if you are like that, you have to visualize the problem in a very broader context, how it will go. Then also you have to go deep inside the deeper. So this is called powers of 10. This is also a management technique. There are different techniques useful for different situations. Once you get used to it, then you will know. Then there's something called Scratch-Free. It's a visual programming language and online environment where learners can create interactive stories, games, and animations. Basically, if you want to create any animations for the particular problem, you can do it. Then sketchnoting, it's taking notes enhanced with sketches, doodles, or simple drawings. So a simple shapes, frames, and connectors to visual complex information can be visualized through physical objects. This is called sketchnoting. It's a software. Then there is storyboard. It's a sequence of illustrations to visualize activities. Then empathy maps template. So it has 4 quadrants that allow participants to group items from observations and interviews around the object. Said, did, thought, and felt. So maybe the empathy maps, empathy step will be useful. Then you have frames. Alternative viewpoints are called frames. Perceptions that allow designers to approach a problem or situation for value creation. Basically, frames is every different alternative viewpoint. Then affinity mapping. Affinity mapping is nothing but organizing related observations or facts. These are all dictum of tools. So is there any doubts? These are all management tools used. So in this process, I don't know whether the management tools are introduced in the training, but you can have this literature of the management tools used in design thinking, because these are all scientific approaches. Because you have to, it's a design thinking approach, but we have to bring the students together. So there you have to use the marshmallow to team building. First you have to team building. So management tools will be very effective in design thinking approach. This is where the management tools has to be strengthened, and right management tool has to be identified for the right objective within the design thinking approach. So limitations of design thinking, it's a lack of creative confidence or mastery. This happens in the first stage for the students. Most of the students will not be have he may not be creative. If somebody says creative idea, other doesn't say, the inferiority complex sets in. So it is the role of the educator or a facilitator to motivate him to think creatively, appreciate his even the smallest of ideas which may not be appreciable. So that's how prevent the low self-esteem. There may be some wrong priorities and shallow ideas prematurely converge on a single idea during the design thinking process. These are all kind of actions which can happen in design thinking process. The priority set may be wrong for a particular complex problem. The ideas may be very shallow because of our lack of deep knowledge. So this is where we will bring, suppose a single teacher is there, he is not able, he or she is not able to interpret the idea into deep context. We bring experts. We bring our friends who are very deep, who has deep knowledge about that particular subject, and then make them to refine the idea. So the shallow idea can become a useful idea. Students may have anxiety and frustration because in the first time when they participate in the exercise, this is quite, they become anxious and they get frustrated if the ideas are not accepted, or if they are not able to find the solutions, or if they have to reiterate again and again over a particular problem, or if they fail in testing. Any stage it can fail in the 5 stages. So it is the role of the teacher to encourage them. Maybe in a pedagogical design, this may not be more challenging as because the teacher's knowledge is very supreme. In pedagogical design, this may not be a problem. Sometimes it creates overconfidence because the lack of skill and knowledge to apply their creativity, they sometimes become overconfident. It is called creative overconfidence. Without knowing anything, we feel that we can do. That is called creative overconfidence. Teamwork conflicts may be there because there is no leadership in the group. Leader identified. Here the leader is mostly the facilitator who will act as a leadership role. So it is centered around the leader who coordinates and facilitates the entire process. So the tasks has to be shared equally. If the tasks are loaded on one person or tasks are not equitably distributed, then the problem comes. Identifying right size of teams within the existing team to tackle individual problems also may be a challenge. We may be very fast instead of a long-term focus. Time element is very constrained in pedagogical design using this approach. Lack of patience for detailed implementation of solutions is also a problem. Lack of time to evaluate ideas is also a key problem in design. There may be tensions between learning content and design thinking process. This is also bound to happen during the implementation phase. Alignment between academic standards, curricular content, and design thinking is a difficult endeavor. You have to align the design thinking process with the academic standards and the curricular content. So this will be a key challenge to all the educators. Is there any doubt in this limitations? Any doubt in the limitations? So it's very challenging because it is very new for us. But of course, in research situations, without knowingly, we practice it. In some of the laboratories, if you see, they call it as groups. We go to some national institutes. For example, if we go to Center for Cell and Molecular Biology, there they call every group as group, Agarwal group, Shetty group, like that. The lab is named as group because every solution in their lab is subject to this creative design thinking approach. That's why that particular institute among all our institutes performs much better in publications and having novel ideas or new frontiers of biological research. So even in your research situation management, also in your thesis research addressing research problems, directly or indirectly, we may be practicing this design thinking, not in entirety, but at least to certain extent, we will follow this design thinking process to come out with possible solutions. Is there any doubt? Am I clear to this extent? My dear fellow participants, am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Sir, no, Josephine Modi, sir, is it clear to you, sir? Right. Am I clear? I think so far I have been clear with the limitations. It has got limitations, but these limitations are due to frictions. These are due to only behavioral frictions. This can be overcome by motivating the students. That's what I said. Everybody has to be treated equally, bringing them everybody in a same cognitive plane. We can call it as a cognitive plane. So when the cognitive plane is made felt equal for all the participants or all the students, then the conflicts gets reduced. That means the intelligent student is a little brought down, and this student is brought up in the cognitive plane, and they interact. Once they start interacting and diffusion of knowledge takes place, then both the planes simultaneously goes up. So the cognitive plane is raised uniformly, which will give a better result. So that is the challenge for any teacher to bring the cognitive plane. That means we have to work hard with the laggards. So I always have these 5 tools of attention, interest, desire, conviction, action, and satisfaction. These are the essential teaching steps in teaching, which can be utilized or implemented in the situation. Attention, interest, desire, conviction, action, and satisfaction. If these 6 steps are followed, the student will improve his cognitive plane. First is attention. Attention is only with the teacher's humor. Anywhere, humor is the essential part of teaching. I always emphasize that humor is an essential part of classroom teaching. You can find the teachers who have a humorous way of teaching. The students will just congregate. Even if the hour is free, they will call that particular teacher. Sir, come sir, the hour is free, please teach something. The same student for other teacher, he may not call at all. He may say, sir, when the class is free. So Whatever is that, there are certain elements which is unique to the teacher, and teacher has to make the student bring his attention towards him. That is, a leader always has a charisma. That's where he creates an attention for himself, where the people follow and listen to him. So when they listen to him, you can listen to them much better. You can empathize much better because they are more attentive. So once attention is there, then the interest will be created. Then all the things follows as a flow. Now I come to little about the latest educational technologies and DT. Very interesting. This is little outside design thinking, but I love to share the latest technologies, how the education technology is going to change in the future, how it is already changed, what we are going to see in the next decade or something. So I would like to, we know that extended reality is a technique which is now used in teaching. So it has both the augmented reality, virtual reality, immersive learning. All these kind of technologies are nowadays captivating the teaching fraternity. So augmented reality is nothing but when just dreams. It's like imagination, dreams and imaginations of humans. It captures the dreams and imaginations of humans. It gives a thorough higher plane of reality. It's more than like it's a superhuman. Somebody feels like the imagination. So augmented reality and simulations are going to capture the dreams and imagination. And lead teaching learning situations has to use this augmented reality to understand the process. For example, like I said, the Rome example, where the city entire city is visualized as a augmented reality, where the people can really feel like going inside Rome and seeing all the structures and beauty of the city. There is a website which shows the 360 cities like that. It's on AR. So we can use, and something called immersive learning. These are the technologies which are coming up. Another thing is adaptive learning. Adaptive learning is catching up very much. Every student is unique. That is the beauty of as every teacher is unique, so is every student is unique in a class. So the style of learning, his behavior, everything is different. So adaptive learning addresses the need for learning style and behavior of students. It is adapted to the students' requirements. So we have to find the students' requirements on a whole. What is though it is difficult to find for every attention cannot be given for each and every student, but on the whole we can find out what is the new learning style that has changed from batch to batch. Because over the years the learning style also changes. People learn from online courses. Some people learn from books. Some people learn through animations. So the learning, some people learn from YouTube based on some popular articles or popular lectures. Some people see only to audio lectures. So the learning style and behavior changes from student to student. Some people only like online teaching. Many people don't like online teaching and lectures. So depending upon the learning style, we have to adapt. Adaptive learning addresses based on the different learning styles and behavior of the students. It is also based on their interest and learning ability. Suppose normally what we do, we go by the curriculum content and design and the syllabus given step by step. Sometimes students may not be interested in the first chapter. They may ask to go to the second chapter directly. So if we resist sometimes, or we say that the first chapter is the building block for the second chapter, students may get demotivated. So in such a say, sir, let us see the second topic. This topic is interesting, so let us learn that first. So we should be able to flexible in teaching to teach the second chapter. And we also design content, what are the minimum essential to teach the second chapter. Likewise, the needs of the students may interest and learning ability also will change. So we have to identify the learning ability, and accordingly we have to design the pedagogical methods. Education technology is based on artificial intelligence. Today we know AI is ruling. AI and IoT. Artificial intelligence has become the buzzword. So artificial intelligence identifies the students' needs. It can capture based on the teaching learning situation by simulations, or it's a continuous capturing of the behavior of the students, based on which it will suggest possible solutions or methods of teaching. It is handy in times when students need to work on essays. It will suggest this as you have to structure the essay like this. You have to put this point. You have to put this point. This point is important in this connotation. Likewise, it will become very suggestive. Article will become very suggestive for enhancement of the teaching learning experience. 5G technology. We know that visualization nowadays is very difficult because of the lesser speed of data transfer. So as the data transfer technology speed increases, the virtual reality will become more sophisticated and easy, because the time lag in buffering will be avoided, and directly we have a real participative experience and real in situ experience or in vivo experience on learning. So the faster the downloads, the resources, greater will be the participation. Something called holographic teacher who can lead. Now we saw it during the last election program that Modi appearing as a hologram and giving motivating people to vote and promising election. So a teacher himself may appear as a hologram. For example, a Nobel laureate appearing as a hologram before a set of students, and then teaching is the specialized topic, how the students will feel. So holographic teaching also may become a reality in near future. Also automation, digitally scheduled lectures. I want to hear the lecture at any point of time which I want to hear. So automation also will help me to improve the teaching learning experience. Competency-based education. This is that students get to be matched with learning activities that are designed for their level of learning ability. So competency-based education. We cannot teach a very critical topic unless the student understands the basic. So based on the competency of each and every student, the education is customized. So competency-based education also important. For example, in a group of 40, if 10 people are very intelligent, 10 people are moderate. So depending upon the competency level, lectures may be designed differently. So first, the competency of the first level will be increased to second level, and then both the second levels will increase to third level, and third level will come to fourth level. That is step by step we will increase the competency. So competency-based education is very, very important. Otherwise, if you teach education for a highly competent student, then the students with lower competency will not be able to understand better. So competency-based education is also a buzzword. Learning analytics. It is learning analytics is going to come where the recording of learning behavior of students will be observed. Whether students are attentive, whether students are participative, whether students really understood. Is it able to? The teacher is very innovative. He or she has his own techniques to identify whether a student is listening to the class or whether he is daydreaming, whether he is using social media. So learning analytics, we will get softwares by camera where learning analytics will be captured. The behavioral patterns will be captured based on artificial intelligence, where such simulated situations will say whether the student is attentive. Even if a student is sitting and watching your lecture, you can identify whether he is based on his electroencephalogram. I mean, if there is the future, you will find sensors which will capture your brain mapping activity. So whether it corroborates to the listening waves. For example, if beta waves, alpha waves, theta, there are different kinds of brain waves. So when listening, we have this beta wave, alpha waves in good. When we are focused, our alpha wave thinking will be very good. So by having sensors to identify the alpha wave, the sensor, we can capture whether the student is really attentive, whether it is really going into his mind, or simply he is just seeing as a film and just only with his eyes and not with his mind. So this kind of learning analytics will help to customize our teaching to better improve the teaching learning experience. So these are the trendy words in education. Nano learning. Nano learning is nothing but small bits and pieces of information is thrown into you whenever you want. We cannot remember everything whatever we study. So nano learning is handy when you want small bits and pieces of information. Today, learning assistants are there. For example, if you call this in Mac, call Siri assistant, Google assistant. So you tell the assistant, I want this, immediately will throw the knowledge about that. So these are the nano learning. So small bits and pieces. For example, cooking is the best example. So if you want to cook some dish, I tell Siri, please get the method to cook this. So it gives the image. So I learn at that moment when I need, and then I forget. So this is called nano learning. Then accessible immersive learning. I really the visual reality, augmented reality, extended reality, and all focus is on accessible immersive learning. Remote learning. This is during COVID times that remote learning has become an essential process where people indulge in teaching from faraway places. Before that, we told students we should not bring cell phones. Now we say cell phone is a must. Everybody should have for learning. Cell phone has really become, smartphones have become a learning tool, classroom teaching tool where the students receive the lectures, remote connectivity. So lifelong learning. Lifelong learning is very important for digital employability because the software field is so changing at a faster pace that if somebody at any point of time somebody stops learning, definitely they become defunct and redundant. So lifelong learning process is also a buzzword now. Then there is something called additive learning. Additive learning, nothing but I'm more interested in a topic and I try to collect information as much learning as possible. Learning becomes an addiction for me. For example, if I like a software language, I keep on reading about that, practicing. So it becomes an addiction, like an alcoholic. I keep learning that particular topic. So learning assistant, I said Siri, everybody, this normal Google assistant, when customized only for learning, they become learning assistant. So learning assistant also can help you understand concepts. Then there's something called customized learning. Nowadays, one-to-one learning, one-to-one teaching learning has become a norm where there is specialized institution and also customized learning can identify for specific topics. I think in few years, for a particular subject, teaching by a single teacher will definitely go. So expert teachers will come with the standard pedagogical methods to teach a particular topic, as happens in foreign countries. So whereas single teacher will not be handling the course, whereas multiple teachers will be handling different subject expertise, really giving the students a diverse experience of teaching learning. Something we call edutainment. Edutainment is nothing but education as an entertainment, gaming, understanding a concept like gaming. For example, a pathway is there, we make it as a treasure hunt from one step to another step. So design a visualized software where each pathway step is a particular house or thing with rewards there if you go there, clean points or something. So education can become like an entertainment. So these are the trendy words which, so I conclude my thing 6 minutes before, 5 minutes before the allotted time with the popular saying of Albert Einstein: the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. So we are all here to change, and let us change for better and implement this particular design thinking approach for betterment of us, for betterment of our students, for betterment of our own country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful inputs and very thought-provoking and very, what to say, knowledgeable inputs on design thinking.
Sir,
and
I want a honest feedback. If the
sure,
lecture
sir.
is
Sure, I will leave it to my participants.
Totally useless.
Sir, I will leave it to my participants to give you the feedback directly now.
This lecture is totally useless.
No. Dear participants, I just want, as Sir has requested, I just want you to honestly say what you have taken away today and what was your learning by means of in Worldly itself. By unmuting your mic, you can tell your feedbacks, please. Any few participants, please. And if you have any queries also, you can put forward.
Teachers are the blessed in the world.
Participants, Ramachandran sir, you can Ramachandran sir, you can unmute and say your feedback.
Because this is an online platform, it is also a new experience for me. These are challenges we will be facing, because online lecture, we don't know how the participants perceive the lecture. If it is a classroom, then I can definitely say it will be at least another 200% very effective in presenting to you. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, because I'm not more inclined towards online teaching. I have always a participative face-to-face learning where I can see the body language. This is the problem with online education. I cannot identify the body language of the learners. Otherwise, it will be very useful for me to customize the teaching. Sorry if I have not up to the expectation of certain people. Yes, sir.
Ramachandran sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, good evening, sir.
Yes, tell me, sir. Proceed, sir, please.
Good evening, Sridar, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Wonderful session with you, sir. Some little problem with the presentation only.
Yeah, sir. I am used to.
Content is a very good one, sir. It's a real feedback, sir. Don't worry about, sir.
Problem
is the presentation side only, but the content is very knowledgeable, sir. For us, for young generation people, from your side, it's a very valuable session with you, sir. First session with you, sir. Thank you, Sridhar, sir, and thank you, the coordinators and everyone. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, sir. Basically, natural is a participative learning. Simple. Design approach I can make to only one word: participative teaching learning situation. Simple. It boils down to two words. It narrows down to two words of participative teaching learning session.
Sir, good evening.
Anybody else?
This is Ayappan.
Yes, sir.
Really, it is a thought-provoking session, as Chandrasekhar sir said.
Thank you, sir.
I have a questions related to design thinking. My question is, design thinking is a practical oriented thing where we can implement business model canvas, where we can implement in marketing strategies, where we can implement in all over the function strategies of management. But come with that, this particular learning pedagogy, it is more related to a student's perspective. So it is always related to participative one. So how we can implement this particular design thinking process as an practical oriented class
Sir,
atmosphere?
you cannot see there are different steps. No, in pedagogical design for this particular type of approach, you cannot have all the steps because there is no prototype testing. All these things and all will not come in the real pedagogical design. It will start with mostly conceptualizing and prototyping the presentation. This is very clear. Am I clear, sir? Happen, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Testing will really happen when the teacher teaches through that approach. Sir, this is suppose a management tool is there which your student cannot understand, your students cannot understand. Let me put it like this. There is a management tool which you want to make your students understand. Say, for example, 40% of the class is not unable to understand the management tool. They come with the problem, sir, we are unable to understand the management tool. Now, in a normal approach, what you will say, you go and read that literature, you go and listen to that videos, you please read this, you have any doubts, you come here. Like that, we will. But in a design thinking approach, where we will talk to the students, this is a tool, please tell us which is difficult. Then from your perspective, you will understand whether the students are not able to understand, whether due to the mathematical problem, this mathematical understanding, or whether due to their vocabulary, whether due to their communication skills, I mean whether their language skills are not permitting them to understand this particular topic, or the topic itself is really complex. So they can ask, the students can be asked to identify the problem of understanding the particular concept. Is it clear? So the students has defined the problem of unable to understand the management tool. Is it clear? The problem, they may say many problems, sir, the language is tough. Sir, there is a lot of mathematics to be understood in the tool. It is too difficult to comprehend. So they may throw different problems, right? Right, sir? Ayyappan, sir,
Yes.
is it clear?
Yes, yes, yes.
So now the problems, the students throw a set of problems. Now you will define the scope. The scope will be defined, whether it is language skills or mathematical skills or things. So you'll try to find the solution. The solution is, let us students, let us go and improve our language skills. Let us go and understand the mathematical skills. So you will rope in mathematics professors to make their mathematical skills, enhance their mathematical skills. You will rope in linguistic professors to increase their linguistic skills. So the design thinking approach gives you a solution. The problem is the students are unable to understand the management tool. The solution is roping in all their expertise. Okay. So then you define a teaching methodology for this particular tool using the students. So you test with the students whether they are able to understand this particular teaching. Whether now if I teach like this with all these things, whether they are able to understand. If it is not that, then you back test again, you go back, reiterate, go back and find what is the problem in the testing phase. Then again you find different solution, then you implement. So ultimately you will come to a solution where you find a pedagogical method to teach a management. This is a simple design thinking approach, sir. Is it clear? Happen, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We understood.
Empirically, I have said that this is the very essence of a small management thinking problem. See,
Yes,
for example, I will tell you in research, it is very, very useful in research. Like what Madam told, in research, we knowingly or unknowingly, we do this. In our department, we always have group discussions on any problem. Suppose a new student comes to our laboratory, we identify a problem. For example, it may be a market survey or anything. No? So we discuss with other senior students and other people to identify the problems. No? Then suppose a market survey is defined, what are the problems? So all the students, we have a brainstorming session. Brainstorming is an essential part of, this is basically bringing brainstorming in developing teaching techniques. It is another way of perceiving like this.
Understood, sir.
It is basically listening to the student side. What is
And
their
we are
understanding?
and here we are trying to build some of the model which is related to industry and institute blended model.
But it was born, sir. The concepts were born through industry. Unless you understand how it is used in industry, you will not understand the very perspective of this process. That's why our industry introduced the industry concept, because it was born with industry. If you see the number of publications from 2007 to 2019, it is exponentially increasing, sir. This field is growing like anything. You will find this maybe these steps may become redundant, new steps may be also be promulgated. We don't know, because this is a growing science. We don't know. This may be customized for education in a different way. There may be different papers and publications from different pedagogical institutions, higher institutions, which do research on these type of approaches. Soon or later, we will be getting a lot of approaches towards this design thinking. It's a naive field which is growing. So at this stage, it is very naive. What we understand is we have to make a participative in problem identification, finding a solution with creative ideas, moderating the entire scenario, and identifying a best teaching pedagogy method for a particular complex thing which students are unable to understand, or a complex problem. It may be anything. Subject to subject, it varies, sir. For a researcher, it is a research problem. For a management, it is a management problem. I mean, management problem means there are very problems which is financial management or materials management or human resource management. So different problems are there. Those complex problems, brainstorming again. So teaching for different subject varies differently, no, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions?
Hello, sir. This
Yes,
is Chandrasekhar here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Though I have conceived this idea and also organizing this FDP, I'm
Yes,
also a learner, starter only in this design thinking and other
Okay.
concepts. I
Okay,
just want to know how we can collaborate with such a kind of institutes like CECRI, CSIR, or any other industries in making this pedagogical design thinking, sir.
Sir, the thinking of citing is totally different, sir. They have the problem-solving idea, actually.
Sir, that's what. How we can collaborate with them in order to incorporate in our education system.
When you design pedagogical methods, involve them. When you design pedagogical methods, involve them. So they will tell what they expect in a research, what is the knowledge they expect, in what frame they expect from the student or a research perspective. Scientists always have a research perspective.
Sir,
Do you agree with me? So what you teach may not be right for the research perspective. So you are teaching for your students may become entrepreneurs, your students may become researchers, your students may become teachers, your students may become consultants. So you are teaching for common goal. I mean, the objective of teaching is very elaborate. You are not teaching for a particular objective of a research student. This is the problem in today's teaching, that we teach the students for everything.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
So that is the real problem in today's teaching, that we want to satisfy every industry, every type of profession. So we are not having a focused teaching or focused learning situation, which is not same in the foreign countries. So you will see some professors talking in their field very deep, but they will not be able to know the next town also.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that inquisitive, deep knowledge learning is still yet to come, because here our teaching learning situation is to address everybody. Ultimately, nobody is benefited.
Okay.
For example, now only customized education is coming now. See, Anna University, I remember they started specialized courses getting feedback from industry. So you also should get a feedback from industry, actually, because it is the industry which is going to employ all our professionals in a very big way. So that is the big picture. So curriculum has to be basically designed with industry needs. When curriculum is designed for industry needs, you will hope in scientists also. They will tell you where the industry is going to go. That will help you to be an edge ahead of others in the curriculum design.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Is it clear, sir?
Sure, sir. I understand that. I understand, sir. I understand your point.
Still, as a creative thinker, this is my creative thinking, which I foresee that, because I've seen in certain institutes, I study the teaching methods employed in different institutes across the world as a passion.
Okay.
How they teach in MIT, how they teach in IIT, how they teach in ordinary institutes, government colleges, how they teach in a government school. So these kind of teaching learning situation, I have learned across the world. Cambridge institutions, Oxford institutions, Sweden, Switzerland. Different countries have a different way of teaching and understanding, different needs, depending upon the needs. We are the only country who don't teach for our needs, but we teach for not for a need, but for needs.
Yes, sir. I totally agree with your point. Yes, sir.
If you say MBA in software management, it has to be MBA in software management.
Of course.
It's like that, very customized. Then you will get your refined graduates specifically customized for the industry. Basically, we have to customize the graduates for a particular industry, sir.
Yes,
That's
sir,
what
yes.
industry expects also. But unfortunately, our students at the same time want to write competitive exams, want to become software engineers, want to go abroad, want to be an entrepreneur, want to be a trader. We ourselves want to have legs in different. This is the problem with our students also. But that can be, teachers play a major role in refining that particular thought. The generation is very, if teachers give the confidence to the student, definitely there will be a definite change. Sir. This is where teachers have to play a major role of changing the entire mindset of the students. Today, what I am is because of my teachers in Annamala University.
Of course, of course. Any other participants would like to interact with Sridar sir, please? He has devoted his much time today evening and he has spared and given lots of valuable inputs.
Actually, I wanted to present this as scientific literature with, because all faculty, I thought I should give references and all. But I want to make it as a popular lecture because it's a training session. If it's
Sure,
a
sir.
classroom,
Sure,
I would
sir.
have given you cross references.
This is what, sir, this is only will go to us because if it is a referential session.
Because now we
will not
scientists
be-
in our scientific institution, we always give references for everything. That is the culture.
Okay, sir. Okay. Any other participants, please? Any queries?
So the topic itself is new and very difficult to comprehend and understand. It's what the initially, but once participative exercises are developed as a part of the training program, such participative exercises where the thing, then the faculty will get to know the first-hand experience of what is the design thinking approach.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. We are making it in the next week to make it participatory and also
Hands-on experience, participative with a
sure, sir.
definite problem.
Yes.
It will be very useful. This is my submission.
Actually, we want to take up this concept to most of the faculties in our area. That's with that idea only we consider this FDP, and also we are organizing here because as you said, this is a new concept which is coming up today.
It's an old concept in other countries, but for our country, it is a new concept.
Of course, in our area, it is very new. In our area, it is totally new, sir.
Sir, actually, if you see the Stanford University, California University, they have models, sir.
Yes.
The ATAL education model is very famous abroad, USA. Actually, it forms the basis of the entire design approach for teaching, sir. Actually, for the school kids and all. There, where the classroom teaching has been totally denounced and students in open learning situation, where students will be allowed in open learning, totally out of class learning. Birds means they will see the birds. They really.
Okay. Any other participants, please, would like to interact?
Yes, madam. Lata Mohan, madam, wants to answer.
Lata, ma'am?
Want to ask something, madam? I hope I lived up to the expectations of the faculties. All are very highly educated faculties from across the country, esteemed ALAGAPPA University. Madam's mic is some problem.
Very good evening, sir. I am
Good evening,
Dr.
madam.
Lata Mogan from
Yes,
ALAGAPPA Government Arts College.
Yes, madam.
This session is, first of all, I would like to congratulate the organizer.
Okay, madam.
Your session is highly interactive, high intellect session. It's really useful for us. Being a government college, we don't have much facilities like technological upgradation, but this session is highly informative and useful, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you
don't
so
use
much.
technology, madam. Only thing is you sit with your students and find what they want.
Yes,
that is
sir.
the initiation for design learning approach, madam.
Mm.
You can ask what topics you want to teach first. That itself will open the students' minds. Oh, the faculty is coming near
Your
me.
session participative, sir.
Yes, madam. Very participative.
Thank you, sir.
By this method, now you will see your teaching time is very much reduced. We use this
Exactly,
approach in
sir.
coaching classes. Actually, I cannot record it, but I had been a part-time freelance trainer for one of the leading coaching institutions in India. So there I saw a lot of teaching techniques, how it is useful, how they instill the concept in students' mind. This is an outcome of that only.
Sure,
That I have
sir.
not mentioned in my bio, but I cannot mention that. But that is a passion for me as a freelance trainer to understand complex concepts.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, madam. Please interact with your students more, madam. Leave that quote of teacher and this one, madam. You will find the students very, very responsive, and you can control, have better discipline if you move the students. I had been a lecturer in women's college. I have very good experience where I was given the.
While introducing Casey, sir, he mentioned he was working in an Maharaja College for women.
Yeah. I was given the biochemistry course, where all the students failed last 1 year before. So as a new faculty, I was given the biochemistry. So by this method, design method only, I was able to understand what are the students' needs, and you won't believe that that year the university topper in that subject was my student, and that batch where I trained all 3 year students are all in abroad from that private college. That's the only year where the students went for became scientists abroad. That batch, even today they are in touch with me.
Highly
We can
appreciate
make
it.
wonders, madam. I don't believe in knowledge level of students. We can make their knowledge level. One of the main key things during my teaching learning experience, which I find is the language skills of students. So if we devote a lot of time for improving the language skills, linguistic skills of the students, they can understand much better. Many of the students' problems not able to understand concepts is only due to their language problems.
Yes, sir.
Language labs are very essential. Any other doubts? Still we have 15 minutes to interact. My enthusiasm never dies. Please.
Any other participants, please? If you have any doubts or questions relating to design thinking or any other models, you can ask to sir.
Most of them are from management, right? I understand. Most of the teachers are from management.
Not only from management, many are from commerce and other people from English, and other peoples are also there, sir. Computer science, all people are there, sir.
English teachers are much needed today. Linguistic skills are very, very important because communication is one key thing which can win or make win or lose. So English teachers have become from language teachers to teaching communication skills, right words to be used in right context. This kind of this design approach will be very useful in English teaching also. Anybody English teachers here? I would like to know specifically. Any English teachers?
Sir, good evening, sir. This is
Sundari, madam. The most difficult thing for an English teacher is to the grammatical skills to the students.
not like that, sir. Now the scenario has changed.
Okay. So, or to make us understand the 36 books of Shakespeare, in here or anything. So
Nowadays,
which chapters are very interesting for them, which chapter is critical, so they can identify from which chapter is very, very interesting. So it creates interest rather than soporific teaching or soporific learning. Students will find interesting. If this is like this, first chapter happens before second chapter. What are so altered situations will create a lot of interest in English learning. English is one.
Yeah, sure, sir. Yes, sir. Those. And the session is very informative, sir. And we could also learn more about design thinking.
Design thinking.
And thank you for the session.
It's a new approach, madam. Actually, it cannot be used for all things, but because it's a time-consuming process.
Yeah.
Time. That is the key. That's the key challenge with respect to implementing it in our Indian scenario. We don't have any flexible hours or anything. Everything has become a 9 to 5:30 or 9 to 3:30, 4:30 time bound. That has to go. Students have to stay back to learn. That should be the culture. Which is there. In my campus and all, that culture was there in Tamil Nadu Agriculture University. We don't see the clock to work hard to learn.
It's very nice to hear about it.
Yeah, there are institutions in this own state where clock is never seen for learning. We don't have clock.
Yeah, it used to be like that when we used to study, but it's
now
not
also
the same.
It's like that. Now also it's like that. That's why you find lot of civil servants from Tamil Nadu Agriculture, successful civil servants.
Yeah.
That's the reason, nothing else. Because we have to learn how much. For time is not a essence at all.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Sridar sir. If I want to tell you, really, the
You have
session
taken a
was...
big risk on me, and it is rewarded you.
No, sir. Even though I have taken a risk, but it was really rewarding. And to say in a single word, the session was very superb. And
Thank you.
the FDP has got a superb start, I should say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Because I have this is the first time I am listening to you, and I also known to you also.
Yes, sir. We have unconventional methods of presentation.
Sure,
online,
sir, sure.
I am getting matured on online teaching, but real classroom teaching is totally online. Means if you one-to-one session, physical, no, that is different. That is totally different. I'm telling you.
Sure, sir. And with respect to this, topic and this FDP program, really this session is a superb one, and it was very lively, and you have given lots of basic inputs on what is going to be in the next days and all, and about the training, etc. So really it was a very great session, and very informative, and knowledge. We have gained lots of knowledge from this session, sir. I should sincerely thank you for being here for the past 2 hours and spending your valuable time in preparing for this session also, sir.
You have another 3 hours, you give me, I am ready.
We will be ready, but I don't know how many participants are ready.
My highest class was for 8 hours, non-stop.
Sure, sir. If we would have started in the morning session, we could have gone for a day. But since it was slotted in the evening time, we cannot extend beyond this. So since thank you, thanks a lot, and sincerely very much thanks for you, sir. Thanks for spending your time.
I take this opportunity to thank the entire fraternity of management fraternity of Alagappa Institute, especially, and also my deep prayers for ALAGAPPA, because without him, I think after coming to Karaikudi and having heard about him, I mean, it's a kind of great thing to spell his name.
Thanks, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Shri, sir?
Yes, sir. Chandramohan, sir. Yes, sir. Tell me, sir.
Sir, really, your session is very interesting and useful and purposeful for teaching community.
Thank you, sir.
Because you are working the innovative center,
yes, sir.
CECRI, because you are the pioneer of all the new inventions. So definitely we are using your expertise, your professionals in direct mode. One day we will arrange especially particularly the artificial intelligence seminars. So we utilize your expertise. Really, as a teacher, we know very interesting and useful and purposeful for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, Hila.
The old friends are.
Thank you, Sridar, Dr. Sridar, scintillating presentation.
Thank you, Hila.
I really enjoyed it. I also learned a lot from your presentation.
Thank you.
And participants not leaving the Google Meet forum till now, that is a testimony for your session success.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining, and thanks, Ilangaman, sir.
Thank you, sir. Very kind of you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Chandru, shall we come to?
Sir, கொஞ்ச நேரம் இருக்கட்டும். Forms fill பண்ணனும், feedback forms, sir. Participants kindly fill up the feedback forms which is being feedback form in the chat box. If any queries from the participants, you can also raise now.